bright light said it gonna set my soul.
Welcome to Raider Talks Pregame. I am your host, Art Navarrete, here alongside my dad, Art Navarrete Sr. Today we'll be discussing the ball game between the Raiders and the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. The game will be played in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas at 1:30 p.m. How are you feeling going into this game?
Well, as usual, I'm excited to watch the Raiders. I'm always excited to watch the Raiders. Once the game starts, I'll be optimistic like I always am. But they have been struggling, so it's kind of a wait and see. Kind of wait and see which team shows up.
How will the Raiders recover? Like, what do you think the Raiders need to do? What are the steps they need to take to kind of salvage the season?
Well, to be honest, right now you kind of feel hopeless. You kind of feel like there's no hope in sight the way they've played in the last couple games. But this NFL season has been pretty crazy. I mean, a lot of so many upsets, more upsets than I've ever remember in any season. So, based off that any given Sunday, theory, it could happen. They could, just as fast as their season took a turn for the worst. A big win on Thanksgiving could spark them for the rest of the season.
I feel the same way. I feel as if a sense of like this season's over, a sense of that we ain't going to be able to make the playoffs, another wasted year. But like you said, this season's been crazy and anything can happen. We're at 5-5 and we're only like 2 games out of the playoffs. So 1.5 games out of the playoffs. So anything can happen. And the Raiders just going to need to go out there and play good football at the end of the day. We got things we need to tighten up on defense. We just need to tighten up the dumb penalties, lining up offsides, late hits to quarterbacks. It was embarrassing last game how our defense was doing stuff like that. Still, here, what were we, in week 10?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. The bad part was that they were doing it at crucial times in the game.
Like on third downs.
Yeah, times when we know we're getting the ball back, and it's just a total momentum killer. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like the defense gets a stop, you have some momentum, you're going to get the ball back, and then a penalty happens. And it got so bad where, you started expecting, flags to start flying on defense. And it was pretty frustrating.
For the Raiders, is this a do-or-die game? Is it safe to say this is a do-or-die if we want to make the playoffs?
I'm not going to say it's a do-or-die. It's definitely, like I said earlier, it would definitely give them a spark. But, you lose this game, you're one game under, and then you have a game that, I know you can't really say that a game you should win because of the way we've been playing, but, you play the Redskins at home. That's a game you should win. And just looking at the remaining schedule, there's a lot of winnable games on that schedule. I know you play the Chiefs again, but, besides that, there's a lot of games that are winnable. So I'm not going to say this is an absolute must-win game for the Raiders, but, I mean, if you lose this game and this losing streak keeps going, I think that even though mathematically it doesn't seem like it's a must-win, I just think psychologically for this team, they got to get a win.
Yeah, for the morale of the team, the morale of fans. I mean, if they lose this one, fans are going to start giving up. It's going to look ugly. I mean, it looks ugly in Allegiant Stadium right now. A lot of visiting fans come in. Even Bengals fans came in and showed up to our stadium. So it's going to be even worse if we continue to lose. There's not going to be as many Raider fans there in the Allegiant.
I agree. I can see that happening. Raider fans are going to stop showing up, especially with those pricey tickets. If you're having a winning team, you're going to go. But if your team's losing, they're not going to pay all that money to go see a losing product on the field. So that's when the stadium is really going to get invaded with the opposing team's fans.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We were watching the Chiefs game. We were like, the Raiders beat the Chiefs. We might go to this Bengal game. But they got their butts whooped, and we don't want to go to a game, pay a lot of money, and see our team like that. That's just hard to watch.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's true. I mean, there is unfortunately, there's budget issues with with families. You know what I mean? It costs a lot of money to go to games nowadays, and especially in Vegas. I mean, the rooms are expensive, and the flights get expensive. Everything's more expensive when the Raiders are playing that weekend. So, yeah, you want to go. You want to go when you're feeling good and you're excited about the game. And it's hard to invest all that money, even though you love your team and you're a diehard. It's really hard when you know that they're not playing well. It's hard. It's hard to commit to that.
Yeah, definitely 100%. We're going to talk a little bit now about how the Raiders and Cowboys match up offensively. The Raiders are 10th, been climbing down and down week by week by week. We have had poor quarterback play, and I think that's been the biggest factor in why our offense keeps dropping down the rankings.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating that Derek Carr was in the MVP conversation earlier in the season, and man, he has just fell off a cliff. He's really looked pretty bad in recent games, and the frustrating part about Derek Carr is that you've seen him play elite at times, so he's capable. But then when he goes through ruts like he is now, man, it's hard to figure out, why this happens to him. It's really mind-boggling sometimes.
Yeah, the situation right now at quarterback, it's tough to watch as a fan. It's like Carr. This team, first of all, this team's bipolar. It's a bipolar team. And Carr is definitely bipolar. I don't know how you can look so good for the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then the last 4 or 5 weeks look so bad.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. I mean, even when we lost Gruden, I think some people thought that it was going to affect Carr. But the first 2 games after Gruden was no longer the coach, I mean, Carr maybe looked even better. He looked amazing. And then after that, man, he's just taken a turn for the worse. And I kind of gave him a pass on that first game without Henry Ruggs. I think that was a big blow to the whole team mentally. I know to the fan base it was a big blow. Henry Ruggs was probably our most exciting player this year. He's explosive. He was starting to become the player that we all thought. And I think it was a big blow to DC on and off the field, because I think that, Derek Carr's he's a great guy. And I'm sure that whole situation was just hurtful for him. For both ways, for the family, all the families involved. And I think that I kind of gave Derek a pass on that game. But after that, man, he hasn't looked any better. He's looked worse. And, I just feel like he's not pushing the ball down the field. I don't know if he has trust issues with Zay Jones, Brian Edwards, Deshaun Jackson. I'm not sure if he has trust issues with those guys, but everything is just underneath. Tight ends, running backs, everything is dumped off, and he's seeing ghosts in the pocket right now. When he's not pressured, he's acting like he's under pressure. He just wants to get rid of the ball so quick, and it's kind of frustrating to watch right now. Hopefully things change tomorrow.
Yeah, Carr seems, since the Henry Ruggs accident, it seemed like he's just been mentally checked out. He's just been mentally out of it since that incident. After the Gruden incident, it looked like he put his head down and went back to work. But since this Ruggs incident, it just looks like on the field, when they show the camera, usually in prior weeks, he's on the tablet looking at plays, seeing what went wrong or what went good. And this time it's just like he's now on the tablet. He's just staring out into space right now. And it just looks like he's out of it. He's out of it a ton. And he's just like he's not focusing on the game.
Yeah, he definitely has that deer in the headlights look right now. And like I said, it's hard to see. Hopefully something happens. Hopefully something clicks in him. Hopefully they put in a good couple days of practice and they turn things around.
For me, I think it's not a simple fix for Carr, but it's just something that I'm looking at. Because when we start going down the game, or we go into the fourth quarter or third quarter down and backs against the wall, then he starts playing his best. He starts playing his best football. He starts taking shots. He starts playing fearless a little bit. But he just needs to play like that all game. He needs to play with a sense of urgency all game, from the first snap to the last. Every snap he needs to treat it like game's on the line.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself. I mean, I think as a quarterback and as the leader of the team, you have to you have to own that. You have to treat, like you said, every play like it's a game. It could be a game-changing play. Every single play, every throw, every play that he checks into, like he needs to. I feel like Derek is the type of quarterback who is all about the process, and he thinks we just got to stick to the process. We got to stick to the process, and he thinks that if you stick to the process, in the end, it'll all work out. Well, that's not always true. I mean, his theory hasn't worked out very well. It's not about the process. It's about the moment. You have to be in the moment. You have to play in that moment, and you have to play to win in that moment. So if I'm a quarterback, I think every drive you're taking it personal. Every play, that this could be the play of the game. And I don't think you can think about it like he does sometimes, where he just thinks like, we'll get him next time. Like, no, you got to get him this time.
Yeah, besides 2016, that's just the kind of identity I feel like the Raiders have had this last 20 years or whatever. I feel like there's no sense of urgency on the field. There's no sense to go out, and it just feels like they're not going out and trying to get the win. Out in a sense. They do a bunch of things bad, a lot of penalties, bad play calling. And right now, the play calling is now on Greg Olsen. It's on Derek Carr. He can check out whatever plays he wants to, or check into plays. So it's all up to him. It's his offense. It's his team, and he needs to start treating it like it's his team, and it's his team of the future.
I agree. I mean, if I am the franchise quarterback, I would really hope that when the Raiders are game planning, when head coaches and offensive coordinator Greg Olsen, or even when it was John Gruden, when those guys are game planning, I would like to think that Derek Carr has major inputs into the game plan on what he sees, what he feels comfortable with, what he thinks is going to be successful. So you can't go out on Sunday and think, okay, I'm just going to do whatever game plan that the coaches agreed on. Like, no, it has to be the quarterback has to have that input. The quarterback has to know that that's my team, and I'm going to have input to run whatever is going to be most successful for me and this team. So, if Derek Carr is not doing that, and he's just running the plays that Olsen is calling, and he's saying, hey, he's the offensive coordinator, it's on him, no, then he's thinking the wrong way. He needs to think, this is my team. I need to run what's best for me and this team to be successful.
I really hope we don't go out this Thanksgiving and try to do what we've been doing the last 3 weeks and think it's just all going to turn around.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I think this is a game, national television. You got to pull out all the stops. You know what I mean? There can't be a play that you're saving for Kansas City. There can't be a play that you're thinking like, when we get to the playoffs, we're going to showcase this. You got to run everything in the book, and whatever you think is gonna help this team win, you got to do it.
Yeah, the Raider offense, hopefully they could take some steps forward and get the ball rolling a little bit and set us up for a good second half of the season. The Cowboys offense, according to ESPN, ranks first. How do you feel about the Cowboys offense, and how do you feel about the defense and how it matches up against them?
Yeah, the Cowboys offense is explosive. I mean, I think Dak has struggled a little bit the last couple weeks, but to start the season, he was having a great year. They obviously have a ton of playmaking wide receivers. They're going to be missing Cooper and CeeDee Lamb at the time of this recording. CeeDee Lamb I believe he's going to play. They're saying they're pretty optimistic that he's going to play. And, Zeke is still considered one of the best running backs in the NFL. They're getting their starting left tackle back, and he's an animal. Their tight end is up and coming. I know Cowboy fans are pretty high on him. Even besides Zeke, Tony Pollard, their backup running back, he could probably be a starting running back on most teams. So their offense is pretty explosive, but our defense is pretty good. Besides the Chiefs game, our defense has been pretty good, and our defense has been good enough for us to win games. It's our offense that has let us down this year, which is surprising because, in recent years it's been the other way around.
Yeah, the Raiders coming into this game ranking 16th on defense, and the Cowboys ranking 18th on defense. You talked a little bit about the Raiders' defense. What about the Cowboys' defense? They're pretty talented. They got Micah Parsons. They got a lockdown corner and Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, Parsons has been as advertised. They can move him all over the field, and they had a couple defensive ends that have been out. So Parsons has been on the edge, and he's been getting after the quarterback, and he's been very successful at it. So I believe he lines up over the right tackles most of the time. So Brandon Parker's going to have his hands full, and the Raiders are probably going to have to give Brandon Parker some help over there with running backs and tight ends, chip blocking, because Parsons could be a nightmare. And of course, Diggs has been, interception machine all year. So, Derek Carr's never shied away from any other team's top corners. That's never really been a concern of his. He just, he'll go at people. And I've never seen him really get killed by that or hurt by that. I've never seen a game where I thought to myself, I can't believe Derek threw at that guy. So that doesn't bother me too much that, Diggs is a high interception guy. But, the Cowboys have a pretty good defense. But even though they have all those offensive weapons, they've been struggling on offense a little bit. So they're kind of in the same boat as us right now, where our defense is playing pretty good, but the offense is struggling. So that could be the biggest key tomorrow, is which offense gets going.
Yeah, this makes for an interesting and a very fun matchup on Thanksgiving. Two historic franchises clash. That's going to be really fun. The Shield versus the Star. In the turnover battle, the Raiders ranked 17th. They have been getting worse and worse throughout the weeks in turnovers. We've got a couple here and there, but hopefully we can force the ball out today in today's ball game. The Cowboys in the turnover battle are 8th. So that means they don't guys don't throw a lot of picks, not a lot of fumbles. So we'll see what happens. Our turnovers we're ranked 17th because we've been throwing a lot of picks, a lot of fumbles, all that. Derek Carr. But I think this is going to be crucial in the game. We're going to have to win the turnover battle today.
Yeah, I think our defense has been getting some turnovers. It's just our offense is turning the ball over more than we're creating turnovers on defense. But if we just take care of the ball, man, that's going to be it's kind of boring to say, but it's really true. The more you watch football, is if you win the turnover battle, and you don't commit penalties, that goes a long way. It goes a long way toward getting wins.
What are your keys to the game? 3. You got 3 keys to the game.
Well, I think one of my keys to the game is going to be our offense. Like, what do we do? You mentioned it earlier. We can't continue to do the same thing, hoping that it changes. I want to see a more complex, dynamic offense. I want to see a little more motions. I want to see, some shifting at the line. I want to see different formations. I want to see some plays that we haven't seen before. That's what I want to see. I want to see a little creativity. And like we touched on, I think the second key is the turnover battle. We got to get the ball on defense. We got to get the ball back for our offense. And offensively, you just need to take care of the ball. And the thing that killed us last week, which is going to be my third key, is penalties. We cannot have dumb penalties, especially in crucial times of the game. So offensive creativity is what I want to see, and takeaways on defense, and no penalties.
Yeah, those are good keys to the game. Mine are to stop the run. If we can stop the run, I think we'll be really successful because we're going to get good pass rush. We're up there in pressures, make Dak uncomfortable, make him throw the ball. He'll be on the run when he's throwing the ball most of the time. He'll be in a lot of traffic. So if they're not successful running the ball, then I think we're going to be all right. That's my first key of the game. Second key of the game is for Carr to spread the ball out. Usually in his past, he's been great at spreading the ball, giving it to a bunch of different receivers, tight ends, running backs, everybody. But lately, it's only been a two-man show. It's been Renfro and Waller, and then we'll give it to Jacobs or Kenyon Drake to run. But we need to start getting some of these other guys going. Zay Jones, especially Brian Edwards and Deshaun Jackson. If we can get all those guys going, it's going to open up more opportunities for our better receivers and better tight ends like Renfro and Waller.
I agree. I mean, earlier in the season when we're moving the ball and scoring points, it was, Carr was throwing to 8-9 different, targets. 8-9 different players were catching balls. And now, you're right, it just seems like everything is just Renfro, Waller, and the running backs, and that's it. Last week, I think Edwards and Deshaun Jackson combined for 0 targets, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say Zay maybe only got 1 or 2 targets. So, Carr definitely needs to start spreading the ball around and get the wide receivers more involved, get the ball down the field.
Yeah, my last key to the game will be time of possession. Last 2 weeks, the Bengals and the Chiefs have owned us in time of possession, and I think that's where we're our strongest, when we have the ball, have control. So hopefully we can win the time of possession and we can win this ball game. What's your score predictions for this ball game?
Well, just to touch on the time of possession thing, that's a good key point. And the biggest deal about the time of possession to me is that our defense has played pretty good the last couple weeks, but in the fourth quarter, they just look exhausted. They look like, they're just tired, and they've been on the field all game, and it's because the offense hasn't been moving the ball, and we haven't had enough time of possession, and it just has taken its toll.
Yeah, lots of 3 and outs.
Yeah, too many 3 and outs. Yeah, it's not good.
So score predictions?
So prediction, I'm a Raider fan. I'm a diehard Raider fan. I'm always going to predict the Raiders to win, but it's going to be a close one. And I think it's going to be, I'm going to say 24-21, Raiders win by a field goal.
That's a good one. I'm near that. I'll always put my money on black, no matter what the scenario is. And I got the Raiders winning 27-24.
Yeah, we're on the same page. It's going to be a close game. And, it doesn't matter how we win as long as we get that win.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the Raiders win this ball game, I'm never going to bet against them. If the Raiders win this ball game, it's going to be a close one. And if they get beat, I think it's going to be a whooping. I think they're going to get their butts whooped.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's gone lately. You know what I mean? So, it wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders don't show up again, because the last 2 weeks they didn't show up.
3 weeks.
Yeah, last 3 weeks. You're right.
They've regressed. They got worse every single week the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because, after they played bad one game, you're thinking, okay, that's not going to happen again. And then it got a little worse. And then you're thinking, okay, it can't get worse than that. And then the Cincinnati game happens and you're like, man, it did get worse. So, hopefully this is the game where it totally turns around.
Yeah, hopefully we can turn it around and get a big win on Thanksgiving. The food will taste better. Hanging out with family will be even better. It's going to just be a way better day if the Raiders win, and it'll be a totally bad day if the Raiders lose. I can guarantee that. We'll see you guys on postgame. I want to thank everyone for joining. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.